Hi, buenos dias and hola to all my Spanish watching photography friends. Today I show you how I photograph the Milky Way and how you can take great Milky Way photos as well.
My name is Benjamin Jaworskyj, photographer and adventurer. 10 years ago, I started to teach myself photography. Today, I travel the world as a professional photographer and filmmaker. Learn from my experiences, mistakes and tips and join me on my photography adventures.
Milky Way photography is a great thing, and I show you in 3 easy or more or less easy steps how you can take great Milky Way photos. So the first step. The first step is all about the right timing, and to be honest, the first 2 steps are the most important thing, and the last step, the photography part, is the easiest thing. So timing is very important, and for timing I use an app, and I use Photopills. It's a paid app, it costs something around €10, but it's a very great app. I would say every photographer needs. There are free apps as well, but none of the free apps I know does all the things Photopills does. There's as well Sun Surveyor for Android, but I think Photopills is available for Android now as well. It was for many years not, but I think now it's available as well. So I just go on Photopills and then I go on Moon. And on Moon, everything is German right now on my cell phone, so don't worry about that. I tell you what it means and you learn some German. The moon is one important factor. When the moon is out, you can't photograph the Milky Way because it's too bright. So you have to avoid any light, but I will talk about that in the next important part. So I will look for the moon right now. And today, moon setting is at 10 in the morning and moon rising is at around 10 in the evening, 10:45. So the middle of the galaxy of the Milky Way comes out at 11. Moon rises before the galaxy is coming out. Not good for photography. We want the moon down, so no moonlight, no backlight or anything, just pitch black night and the Milky Way, or the middle of the Milky Way, the galactic center, out. So I just go a few days in the future, and there I have Tuesday the 15th of August, for example, and here it says the moon is rising at 50 minutes after midnight and is setting at 3 p.m. so in the afternoon. That is perfectly, because the moon is setting and the galactic center is out at 11 and the moon is rising at after midnight. So I have 1 hour left with no moon and Milky Way center up in the sky. So 1 hour for photography, everything is prepared in a few days in the future. So that is a planning thing I would definitely recommend you when you want to take great Milky Way photos. You see parts of the Milky Way all over the night when you just watch up in the sky and it's pretty dark, but the galactic center is the most interesting part to photograph. It's the thing with all the different colors and the big part of the Milky Way, what I always say to just understand it easy. And yeah, that's the thing I want to photograph. The second part is, next to the right timing, the most important part. You need a very dark place, a very remote area, because most of the people do the right settings, have the right timing, but the place where you photograph is not dark enough. When I, for example, want to take photos from that part here, from that place right now in Berlin, and I look up in the sky, I cannot see the Milky Way because it's too bright. The city is too much shining. All the artificial light you have here, all the lights on the street, all the different things that are glowing in a city, they are too bright. So you have to go out of the city. A good thing is to go on a mountain, so above a city or anything, to go in a desert, in a forest. So everything that's very dark, very remote, far away from cities is great to see stars, and of course great to photograph the Milky Way. So don't underestimate that part. That, together with the right timing, is the most important part. I always say, when you can see the Milky Way with your own eyes, just looking up in the sky, then you can take great photos. When you don't see it with your own eyes very good, then you don't have much chances to photograph it well on the camera. And now comes the last part, the camera. The camera itself is not that important. More important is the lens, and I would recommend a wide-angle open aperture lens. So 16 to 35 2.8 or something is a great lens. I did many Milky Way shots with that lens, and I now use a 24mm 1.4, so even more light. Because you have to think about the Milky Way itself is so dark with everything in the sky, and you go to a very remote and dark area, so you need a lot of light on the sensor of your camera, and you can get the most of light through the aperture of your lens. And then comes the camera itself. As a camera, I can recommend a full frame camera, but you don't necessarily need a full frame camera. You have some advantages, a bigger sensor, you can go higher with the ISO, and this is a big advantage with the Milky Way, but you can take great Milky Way shots as well with an APS-C camera, so don't be disappointed if you don't have a full frame camera or anything. So I take the settings, and this is a next important thing when you have all the other things now done. I take a tripod. This is important not to shake when you're photographing, and then I go on the most open aperture I have. So with this lens 1.4, with this lens it would only be 4.0. This is not that open, and you won't get that good results with that aperture. With 4.0 it's pretty hard. The ISO I take as high as possible. On a full frame or on this camera I go on 6,400 or even on 10,000. On an APS-C, depending on the brand, I would go from 1,600 to 3,200. Better some noisy image and do some noise reduction than going too dark and try to pull it up over the exposure in the post-process. That's what I can tell you. And yeah, then you can take the right shutter speed, and the shutter speed is depending on the focal length. So when you are wide-angled, you can go something around 15 to 30 seconds. Just give it a try. You can go and learn from Ben. There I have a blog post, and there's a sheet where you can see the different focal lengths and where you can see which shutter speed you can take as a maximum to not get the stars as a line in your skies, so that they stay as a dot. Learnfromben.com, you can see it down there as well. So everything together, very dark place, very remote area, at the right time with all the constellation in the sky, take the right settings, high ISO, very open aperture, long shutter speed, but not too long depending on your focal length, on a tripod, and then bada bing bada boom. Milky Way shots, epicness is incoming. Those were 3 steps to take epic Milky Way photos. I hope you liked the video. And now some commercial. Check out my website learnfromben.com. There you can find 3 video courses. One about landscape photography we filmed in Norway. I talk about my tricks and techniques to get better landscape photos. We have one course about image editing and one course about Lightroom. You find everything on learnfromben.com. So see you next time. Adios, buenas noches, and yeah, if I should give your country a shout out, just write it in the comments below, and if you have any questions or topics I should talk about, write it in the comments. See you next time. Ciao, ciao.